All right, let's get into it.
Welcome back.
It's Friday. Feels like Monday,
Yeah.
but it's actually Tuesday.
But yeah, welcome to another edition of the Warfighter Tobacco Podcast. We're sitting here, myself, John Simons, and Scott Jansen across the table from me. We have Justin, our fancy producer.
He's hitting the edit button or the redacted button all the time. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah.
It's all AI generated anyways. We're not even really speaking.
Yeah. It isn't really us. This is just, yeah. Which we should try that. I wonder if we have enough episodes to do an AI podcast, let it roll.
I wonder.
I bet the Freedom Friends does.
With all the early Freedom Friends edition podcasts, and like if we did AI based on that, would it give us like a drunk accent?
It's just slurred the whole time. Yeah, maybe.
That's funny. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, today we wanted to check in with you guys and talk to you a little bit about some gadgets that we found in the cigar industry.
Yeah, we sat here and struggled about what to talk to you about for a minute. That's why my glass is almost gone.
And my cigar is half smoked.
Yeah. So, but we came up with the cigar gadgets. So, yeah, we got a couple we can go over. Obviously, you got like the lighters and cutters and like there's, I don't know.
There's so much.
10,000 different lighters. There's 100,000 different cutters.
And some work great. Some aren't.
Yeah.
Some don't work at all.
Right.
I think my least favorite guillotine cutter is the ones that have like the serrated blades, but they're not really sharp. They're like the cheaper ones that are serrated.
Yeah.
And all it does is like just crunch your cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a I don't even know if it was a company yet, but somebody made us a really cool metal.
Oh, that one was super cool.
Cutter.
Yeah.
Heavy duty. Awesome.
The blade was like a 1/4 inch thick.
Yeah. But that was the problem.
Yep.
And then they didn't have a steep enough angle on the blade. So it literally would.
I think it was too steep.
Yeah. It was too steep.
Yep.
So it literally would just, all it would do was smash until it finally cut.
Yeah. And it was sharp.
It's a great
just
design.
a bad
yeah,
angle.
just a bad. Yeah. But yeah, those. Yeah. And then like I've never used a serrated one that has worked well. But I had somebody telling me that there was one that worked really well. I haven't tried it yet. So.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah.
There's all kinds. I mean, you have like we do a cigar rest. That's one of them. And there's a million different types of cigar rests that are out there.
And why would you use a cigar rest?
So you're not setting your cigar in an ashtray,
Right.
or if it doesn't have a way to balance on an ashtray, if it falls in or falls out.
Yeah.
Or if it's like a communal ashtray.
Right.
And you don't want to just hang your cigar out at it, but you're sitting in a lounge or a bar or at a table or something.
In a bar, you have to worry about your ashtray being picked up and dumped.
That too.
It's a little bit better in a cigar lounge.
And depending on the bar you're at,
yeah.
Sometimes you have to worry about liquid on the bar. And so you don't want to like hang your cigar over the edge, or something like that. So that's why you use a cigar rest.
Yeah.
And then we have a handful of different lighters that we have right now.
Some cutters even have like a little, it tapers so that it can be used as a cigar rest, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. And then all the different lighters, like we have soft flames. Let's see if this thing's going to be massive. Nope. Let me turn it up. Soft flame lighters, regular, jets, flat flame, single, double, triple, quad, table lighters, pocket lighters.
I've always been partial to the flat flame. I think it came out, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And when I saw it, I really liked it.
This one is still one of my favorite lighters of all time. And it sucks that Alec Bradley holds a patent on it.
Yeah.
Because we can't do it because they own it. But it's a butane soft flame, and it's a table lighter unless you want to wear Jenko jeans and you can fit it in your pocket. But they make this size, and they make one with a huge canister on it.
Yeah.
And they work out really good.
It's a nice, cooler, it's like not as hot of a flame. It's a cool flame. So once again, if you reference our previous podcast, we talked about getting your cigar too hot and it tastes ashy.
Yeah.
That's a good way to prevent that. That's why I love this soft flame. It's good if you have to relight. Because you're not charring your ash at that point.
Right.
I was using this outside the other day and struggling.
It's hard to do in the wind.
It's hard to do when it's a little breezy out.
But I used to have this just hanging out in my truck. Oh, which is another thing. I'll get to that in a second. But I used to just have this hanging out in my truck, and because I'd use it for relay lights.
Yeah.
Except I always had to make sure I rolled up all the windows, because if there's any air movement going around, it's such a pain in the ass. But don't store your lighters. If you live in somewhere that gets hot, say it gets 95, 100 degrees in the summertime, outside ambient air temperature, don't leave a lighter in your truck.
Yeah.
The heat will cause the butane to expand, and whatever fuel reservoir is in your lighter will eventually be overpressurized and crack, potentially explode, but it's not going to go like boom. It's just going to leak all the fluid out.
Yeah. You see it happens very easily to like the really cheap lighters.
Yep.
Like our, I don't know.
Especially the plastic ones. The new ones, it doesn't happen as much on our field lighters right now. The older field lighters that we had, that had the 4 different colors. One side was completely black.
Window,
Yep. The other one had a window.
Those popped.
The windows would pop just because they're plastic. These are metal bodies, so they last a little bit longer.
I'm sure there's a plastic thing in there, but metal holds it from
expanding
too much. So,
but don't store it in heat. Even though I have a bottle of butane that I've had in my truck for like 4 years.
Yeah,
and I don't know how that thing hasn't blown up yet.
Yeah. What's some other gadgets? So
you got a perfect draw tool.
I do.
I
rarely use this.
The only thing I use that for is to bleed my lighters.
Which you shouldn't.
No, I shouldn't. But it works.
It works for a while.
Until it flares out the brass.
It flares out the little nipple. Yeah. And then when you go to fill it, it shoots gas everywhere. But what a perfect draw tool is used for is if you have a clogged cigar, you ram this in there like that, and then it pulls out tobacco like that. I don't know if you can see it or not. So it's got like
little barbs.
Yeah, little barbs that pull it out, and then it allows it to draw easier. The reason I haven't used that very often is I smoke a lot of Warfighters, and we don't have a lot of draw issues.
Yeah.
So
it's really nice.
Yeah. And when I have a cigar with like a major draw issue, most of the time I just quit smoking it.
Yeah. Excuse me. I've used a perfect draw tool on some that I've had in the past that were really, plugged and hard draws.
Yeah.
And once you figure out how to use the tool, it actually works out pretty cool. They're on their website. They have like a kind of a tutorial, like an instruction on how to use it. And you're supposed to like push it in, you twist, that kind of stuff. And when you do get that clog, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you just poke a whole bunch of holes in this thing and it still smokes like crap. And, you're like, how does this work? I just, took out half the tobacco, but
either that or you create such a hole down the middle that
just tunnels. Yeah. But I've had some where like I've gotten where that plug was and then I pulled it out and I'm like, oh shit. And then you take a drag and it's like, oh yeah, that's how this cigar is supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, you got $10, $15, $20 cigars. I understand.
Yeah.
You don't want to fucking waste it. So,
right.
But I never think to carry it. It's just,
it's in my desk.
It's in my desk.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if I'm smoking a cigar here, then it happens. Then I can use it. But like I said, or like you said, I rarely smoke anything besides Warfighter when I'm here.
Yeah. But this is probably one of the best draw tools you can get.
Yeah.
And I think it's called the perfect draw, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. It works very good.
Yeah.
Some of them I've used that aren't quite as good, but that's a good one. Then we both have these.
Yeah, these were a gift to us. And these are like a cigar, I don't know, draw. What's the word I'm looking for?
A poker, I guess.
Yeah,
it's like like when you're eating corn on the cob.
It's a nub tool. That's a nub tool. It is.
But
like corn on the cob.
But it allows you to smoke all the way down to the nub.
Yep. That holds it so you don't burn your hands.
Not burn your fingers.
Yeah.
So. Once again, though, I rarely ever use a nub tool.
No, I have a pocket knife.
Because I get my cigars to about this point and they start getting a little hot. Yeah. And I have a lot of cigars at my disposal and I elect not to smoke anymore.
There's a lot of cigars. I'd say probably 99% of the cigars that I smoke, I put them out before I burn my fingers.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, an inch.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. But every once in a while, that cigar, the flavors that are coming out of that cigar are that much. But I never carry this with me.
Yeah.
So, but I always have a pocket knife. So I just pull out my knife, stab it with my pocket knife, and I use that. I remember I was at Poorhouse in New Braunfels, an outside bar in New Braunfels, Texas, and I was smoking a cigar, and it got to that. And so I pulled my knife out in the middle of this bar in the patio, and I mean, it was busy. I think it was like a Thursday, Friday night.
Yeah.
And so I got the cigar sticking on my knife, and I'm just bullshitting, talking, smoking, everything like this. And people are like, the table's next to us, like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, sorry, the cigar's really good. I don't want to put it out yet.
I thought you were going to say the bouncers came and be like, sir.
No, I mean, this was years ago. So that was when everybody that worked there knew us.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we got this little guy. So this is a humid meter. So humidimeter. And the way this works is it has two prongs. You turn it on. Now my cigar's lit, so it's going to be really probably not working correctly. But you put it in there and it tells you what percentage it's at. So this one's at 73%. So not too far off probably.
That's probably accurate where it's at right there.
Yeah. I just didn't know how well it would work being burning on one end.
Yeah. So the thing that I found out with those is they have a calibration mechanism. And essentially,
so there I put it in again, and it's 76.
So the most basic way to explain how that works on the inside is it measures the resistance in the tobacco between the prongs on an electrical level, and so what that does is it gives you a general reading based on a formula, an algorithm that's built into that, on the how much or how less resistance goes through all the tobacco leaves. The only downfall to that is that when you insert it into the cigar, if you squeeze the cigar, it changes the reading.
So for example, if you had a really tight packed cigar, I think your reading is going to be skewed, even if it was the same cigar, same environment.
And same if it's a loose cigar.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have a cigar that's kind of been rolling around a humidor and the foot's a little, squishy, and you take that meter and you put it in the foot of the cigar, you're going to get not a correct reading that's on it.
I bet
it's going to be close.
I bet it's within
probably 10.
4.
No, it's about 10%.
10%.
Some of the ones that I have found.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't work, because it does, and it's awesome.
So for somebody like us, where we have a humidor full of cigars, right? We can take cigars from the same box, right? And you can do 4 or 5 different cigars in that box.
Yeah.
And then that'll give you a good average.
Yeah.
Or
with us, for like my personal stash, I would never do this. But if we're monitoring stuff in our humidor, you take that and you stick it right on the side of a cigar, right? Now, if you try to smoke that, you just put 2 more holes in that cigar. It's not going to smoke how it's supposed to.
Right.
But that'll give you a good accurate reading of how it is in the center of the cigar instead of the foot or the cap. Or you can use that as a draw tool or a nub tool.
Yeah, it's also a nub tool. Oh, you know what? I turned it on before.
What do you got on that guy?
99%.
Really?
It might be because I'm in the foil band.
Oh,
it was. Now nope, 99%. So that's really weird. No, something's going on. Now, I don't know. Maybe my battery's dying, but it's jumping all over.
I was like, 99. That means it's like raining in the inside of your cigar.
That's like a cup of water.
Is the battery light blinking?
No. Let me. I think I just jumped the gun on it.
User error.
Yeah.
Because I've never got 99. That's weird. Let's see if it's just your cigar, if it's mine too.
Now my cigar is almost unsmokable because I have 3 holes in it.
So I got 82. But I've never done this when it was lit before and I'm smoking.
Yeah, lit and smoking,
that's
it's
weird.
Not a good way to do it.
No, I mean, it's not going to give you an accurate reading.
No.
You're adding heat, you're adding, whatever oils and everything that's going through the whole cigar.
Saliva,
Yep.
I mean, it's not a good way to do it. Mm-mm. But it's a handy little tool for the money. I don't know what these cost. probably around, I don't know, $60, $100, something like that, maybe.
I can't remember. We got these years ago.
But they make like the factory. Our factory has one of these.
These ones are made by Cigar Medics.
Yeah.
The one at our factory is
like a legit measures humidity.
And it is very expensive.
Yeah. It's like,
it's only allowed to be handled by one person in the factory.
Yeah. It goes from Gonzalo's desk drawer to the one person.
And they do it right there.
Right there.
And then they put it right back in the drawer.
It was like, I think it's like $3,000 he said, or something like that. It's a really expensive one. And it's bulky and big and awkward looking. But for the factory, they need to really monitor and know exactly. Yeah. So it makes sense for them to have something like that. But
for us to have something on that caliber, I don't think it really matters.
No. I mean, because, like our humidor, we have a digital readout of in a couple different places in our humidor. So we have a good overall idea of where it's at. And if we need to adjust a little bit, we can. Weally, the way we can tell is we smoke out of it every day.
Yeah.
So if like, they're a little bit dry or whatever. And then we'll make like little adjustments. Like we maybe adjust it 2% up or down.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Usually it's just one and wait and see.
Yeah. The temperature affects it.
Yeah.
I know when our heater is running, then it affects it different than when the air conditioner is running.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's usually when we adjust is when it switches over temperature wise.
We're kind of in that weird time of a year here in Texas where, it gets down to 35, 40 degrees at night. And like today,
75,
79 degrees outside right now. We have a low of 43. We have almost a 40-degree temperature swing. The good thing about our walk-in humidor is
it's inside our building,
and then it itself is insulated on all sides, including the roof, and it's sealed. So we get to monitor that and control it very, very well.
Yeah. What other gadgets are out there? You got like the cigar tubes, which I have a couple really cool ones. I should have brought them in.
There's one sitting right here we didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
There's punches that are made out of, damn near anything. This one's a brass punch made out of an actual round. And so where the bullet goes into the casing, that casing's been sharpened to be able to use as a punch.
And then the bullet protects the sharpening, protects the brass cutter when it's
when it's not.
Yeah.
Yep. And then also the part that punches out of it, if it goes inside, the bullet helps get all that tobacco out of it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of punches. If the punch isn't sharp or the cigar is a little dry, you have a chance of cracking.
What's your favorite punch?
Favorite punch? Honestly, there's two that I've used that are my favorite ones.
Okay.
And because I've tried it, I give everything an honest effort.
I like one punch.
The Calibri
one,
because it has like three different sizes.
3 sizes. You pull it out, and when you close it, it ejects
it pops
the tobacco out of the.
The other one that I really liked was this little bullshit keychain one that I got for $3.99 at some shop somewhere. I don't even remember.
And it has a miniature screwdriver and a bleeding tool on it.
It does.
Yep.
And I think it was great until I lost it. It was on my keychain, and the chain that was holding it on broke, and so I just had the ring and the chain, and the punch was gone.
So that's another gadget, like lighter bleeding tools, right? So I always have one. I got a handcuff key, which I always carry. I don't know why, just in case. But the back of the handcuff key has this the little nub thing, and it is like the perfect bleeder tool. Cigar once upon a time did this. You could only get it in a holiday gift set.
A tactical gift set.
Yeah, it had a knife, a lighter, or a cutter, and then it had this pen.
Yeah,
which is an all aluminum bodied pen, and then on one side of it had a little thing you could unscrew, and it was a hollow tube that had a side hole,
like a port. Yeah.
And so when you bled it was awesome. That's probably the best bleeder tool I've ever used. Is that one, but you can't buy it anymore.
They stopped making.
Yeah.
A couple of the cool ones, we don't have any here to show, but they make these clips that hook onto like a golf cart and that hold your cigar when you're golfing. Those are kind of cool. Some of them destroy your cigar. Don't get those ones.
I can't remember the brand of the one we like, but
Looks like a little duckbill almost.
Yeah, and then it flares, and all the like the spring tension on it isn't too much.
Yep.
And then I think it's magnetic.
Yeah, that one was nice.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Yeah, then you got
there's so much. There's car ashtrays, travel humidors, leather case humidors, desktop humidors, and then the humidors. I mean, that goes. Even just us personally, we've done a leather wrapped humidor. We've done a humidor that looks like a book. That was a limited edition.
a wooden one.
A wooden one,
Like a 6 count.
Yep. We've done single cigar tubes, triple cigars, cigar holders. This is all stuff we've done years and years ago.
Then the Pelicans.
Yeah, all of our Pelican.
The R20, 40, 60.
1200, 1300s.
Yeah.
Our soft travel humidors.
Our trade show Pelican humidors, which are 1650s.
They hold, we can fit 1,500 cigars in them.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. Yeah. While doing Googling, I always see the cutters that look like scissors. Have y'all tried those? And
yeah, I mean,
opinion?
They work. They're just awkward. Like to open it up far enough is almost my finger span.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like carrying a scissors around with me.
Yeah.
To me, they're just weird.
The one I like is Le Fine Flames.
That's like
they make like a pocket knife.
It almost it's kind of like a pocket knife, but it reminds me more of the old school single bladed barber.
My only complaint about those is I'd want to use it as a knife, and then it would get dull, and then I wouldn't be able to cut my cigars.
So I have one of the coolest cigar cutters. That is probably one of the worst cigar cutters.
Oh, that Benchmade?
And it's a Benchmade one. It's fucking awesome looking, right? It's an auto. Actually, I'll just go get it real quick. Talks among yourself, John.
Oh, okay. Hey, John, how you doing today? Oh, I'm doing good. About yourself?
These are cool though. I just looked them
up. The Benchmade ones?
No, the Le Fine.
Yeah, Le Fine Flames. Yep.
They've got some cool ones. That was the other one that I was curious about. Is I always see ads and stuff for the ones that are like a knife where it's got the cutout for the cigar and stuff. And I'm like, the reason like my go-to cutter is the V cut because it's just idiot proof. So that one I'm like, I feel like it'd be too easy for me to fuck it up.
The thing with some of the cutters is they have to be sharp, like very, very, very sharp.
Yeah.
And the reason why the V cut and a lot of these, guillotine style cutters work is because the only thing you cut with them are cigars.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take a very long time for them to start to go dull.
Yeah.
With, like if I used, this knife's pretty sharp, but if I tried to cut a cigar with it, it wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. There's some knife ones that are out there that they crush the cigar more than cutting it.
Yeah. That's this one.
Yeah. And the Le Fine Flames one, their edge, their bevel is only one-sided.
So is this, but the problem is this blade's too thick. Mm-hmm. It's got a good angle on it and everything, but part of the problem, this is a Benchmade, right? It's an auto, so it opens up like that, and that's as far as it opens, right? It's really cool. The way it cuts, so you have to cut, it's one directional.
Same with the Le Fine Flame ones.
So if I put it in, you see how it just kind of crushed it? And then it like tears up around the outside because you're putting pressure on this big gap.
Yeah.
If that gap was smaller and the blade was thinner, like if they made this to where the inside of the Benchmade matched the curvature of the blade, and it was just perfectly like when it came to the end, it was solid. But you see that gap right there?
Yep.
That's the problem. So it kind of crushes the cigar. But it's fucking cool. It's a Benchmade. It's
a guillotine cutters. Both sides of the blades are sharp.
Yeah. Well, and then your cut point on there is very, very like the blade to blade is very tight.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And so those work really good. But another cool gadgets that I have laying around is this is a Sig Legion cigar tube. So it holds a single cigar. I thought it was cool. I can't remember where I got this one, but
from the Legion website.
Yeah, probably. And then one of the coolest ones I've ever gotten was this is a Silencer Co. they did an event one time where they gave out cigars in what looks like a suppressor.
Yep.
And
modeled after their rimfire suppressor.
Yeah. The end pops off. It's probably 3 inches longer than the real suppressor.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks just like one of their original ones. So this is kind of like, because I was in the gun industry and the cigar industry, it's like one of those things where I dig it, and I'm glad I have this. Yeah. But it's cool. So it's funny, that cigar that's in there has probably been in there for 6 years. Oh,
you should hit the meter on it.
Let's see what it is.
Yeah, I got no battery light, no nothing.
So there is no humidification in something like this.
No, I'm going to go right through the cellar.
It relies on the cigar's internal moisture just to maintain itself, but it's not meant to last 6 years, obviously.
I got 69%.
Fucking smokable and perfect.
Yeah. 69.
Yeah. Nice.
Huh.
Like
68.
So it's sealed on itself, but there's like no extra oxygen.
Yeah.
So when you put it in there, like unless stuff can evaporate or new air can get to it, it should hold its humidity.
Yeah.
So,
but I can squeeze it and adjust about 5-degree difference.
But it gets higher, right?
So right now I'm at 66. And if I squeeze it, it jumped to 71, 72. So
that's in the perfect range. So
yeah.
I'm going to smoke this one. But it's better than being 40%.
It's very true.
After 6 years in a tube.
Right. So the good thing is with that tube, with a small amount of air that's on the inside of it, and it's got an O-ring, so it's sealed. So whatever humidity was in there.
In the cigar specifically.
Maintained, because none was let out, none was added.
Right. Well, so this kind of tells me too, like the cigars you buy in the tubes.
Yeah.
I always wondered how they would do. Now they're not perfectly sealed like this, but they're pretty close.
Yeah.
So I bet you buy a cigar in a tube, I bet it holds up for quite a while.
Yeah.
I bet that's a pretty safe way to if you're throwing it in your golf bag or whatever.
Right.
Like you might not need to worry about it from.
You do have to worry about temperature.
Temperature does it.
Temperature does drastically affect a cigar.
Yeah. This has been in my desk drawer at room temperature for that amount of time.
Right.
So
I have a really bad habit of leaving cigars in my truck.
Oh, me too. And I'll smoke them.
I will too. And sometimes it works great. Sometimes
it's a hand grenade.
Sometimes maybe good. Sometimes maybe shit.
So out in our shop, I have like a little outdoor area where we hang out. But there was a dumpster fire sitting there for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Out in the elements. Yeah. And I smoked it last night, I think. And it smoked well.
Yeah.
But it couldn't have had more than 50% humidity.
Yeah.
Maybe. It was then again, the humidity here is
been pretty humid lately.
Yeah. So
your environmentals are going to affect that cigar big time. Outside temperature, outside humidity, things like that. And we touched on it before. Drastic changes cause cigars to pop and crack.
Yeah. And I like smoking cigars around the 65% range.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I'll even pull out the cigar from our humidor and I'll just leave it overnight on my desk.
Yeah.
And then smoke it the next day.
I do that, but that's just because I'll take the cigar out, I'll set it down on my desk, and then I'll get squirreled with something. And then like 3 hours later, I'm like, oh yeah.
I do that pretty regularly too. I'll pull cigars out from the humidor, take pictures of it, sits on my desk for a couple days, and I'm like, I'm not gonna let it go to waste.
Yeah, I'm gonna smoke this.
Smoke it now, dude. Smoke's fine.
Yeah.
I have another gadget that I'm personally a big fan of. The tabletop cutters.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So Justin for Christmas got us each a tabletop cutter. I didn't think.
You didn't think you'd use it?
As much as I do.
And then you filled it.
It's almost on its, like, didn't just fill it. I had to, like, wiggle shit in there to get it out. It was so packed full.
I'm glad you put it to use.
Oh, yeah. No, I use it 4 times a day.
Yeah.
So, I'm always losing my cutters at home.
Me too.
So I have mine set up next to my green desktop humidor. And so when I'm smoking one on the way into work, it's perfect because I pull one out of the humidor, immediately cut it, and I'm good to go. So
for me, like usually I forget my cutter in here because this is the podcast room, and I'm sitting next door, and so it's always I use that one a lot. Yeah, I really do.
Like I'll have cutters on my desk and in my pocket, and I'll use that.
Yeah,
just because ease and convenience. Do you use the V cut or just the straight cut on it?
So the V cut's not as deep of a V as I like.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy V cuts on torpedoes.
Right.
And box pressed.
Yeah.
But that V is not deep enough for that. So very rarely do I use it.
I don't know if I've ever used the V.
Yeah.
And so they have two different sizes of the guillotine ones. And I usually use the smaller guillotine.
Yeah. Except for the 660s.
Yeah,
Then
except
you
for
gotta
the
use the
660.
big one.
Yep.
But and then they have two sizes of
the V cut.
the V cut.
A small and a
One is too shallow to do anything.
It doesn't do. It's good for like a Minuteman. That's it.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I don't know. I've never really used it.
And it's kind of weird how that works because it's on an arm, and so the blade comes up and grabs it, so it doesn't cut a perfectly straight line. It cuts like
you can barely see it.
Yeah, it cuts like a little arc in it, and I enjoy it though.
Oh, there's another cool cutter that's out there too. That arc reminded me of it. It's that ball cutter.
I've never used one.
I used one last year at the show as a prototype. I can't remember who.
It's like an ice cream scoop kind of.
It is, and it's like a.
So it looks
like a ball bearing.
Yeah,
that just like takes a scoop out of the cigar. It is pretty cool.
If you were just looking at it, you would think it was like a punch cut.
Yeah,
except that there's like an ice cream scoop out of it.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Nope.
No, that's to measure your cocaine. I think
that's.
Do cigar ball cutter.
Oh. There it is. Cigar Medics. Once again, the same guys that make the humidification meters. Yeah. So that guy's pretty cool. Like I said, I got to play around with one of their prototype ones.
It's called the Baller.
It worked really well. I've never had one to use it.
It's
a lot.
They say it's between a V cut and a
punch.
And a punch, yeah.
Yeah. And a scoop, as they call it. But yeah, that was pretty cool. It was very unique. I haven't seen it done before.
We should get one just for the shop.
Just to have on the table. Add to the collection. This is one of the most dangerous lighters.
Yeah, so
in the industry.
So the reason we have so many random lighters and cutters here is we test everything.
Jesus.
See? Very dangerous.
Holy shit.
John, you want to try that again? I didn't get on camera.
No, I don't know.
Just leave it and do it.
I don't know if I want to.
Jesus.
The blind reaction would have been way better.
Yeah. That's on me.
Well, I'm sure you saw my reaction. That's better.
Okay.
It was just turned up all the way.
All the way. So the cool thing about this, it's really hard for you guys to see, is it's a touch screen.
Yeah.
And so you charge it. And
the charge, I'll give it this, the charge lasts forever.
Yeah, you flip the lid, you touch it, and it lights.
Yeah.
Close the lid, turns off. The only downfall, well, I wouldn't say the only.
No, it's...
The downfalls to this are, as soon as you open the lid, I don't know if you can hear this or not.
Yep.
Whoop, fuck, see? As soon as you open the lid, it just starts spewing fuel, and it's triple flame.
Yeah.
And then anything that's, I don't know, semi-warm, I don't even know what to consider.
You can touch it with the other lighter. Okay.
Oh, yep. Yeah, didn't even take my hand. It was on the lighter. Yeah. So anything that touches that screen will cause it to light. There's no safeties to it. So like it can be upside down and it lights, which is bad.
The worst case scenario that we've come across though is it can be in your pocket and the lid comes open and it lights.
I think I'm out of fluid now.
Yeah. So we tested these.
Yeah.
It didn't go very far.
No.
But yeah.
It's dangerous.
I think it's dangerous.
Yep.
So that one stays on the old podcast table.
Yeah. That was kind of a joke for somebody like, hey, you get a lighter?
Another product that we've tested for about a year now.
A little over, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Is this Cigar M8 Chrome cutter.
And it's a metal bodied cutter.
It's heavy. It's durable.
Smooth.
It's super sharp. It cuts great. Like I have not found a cutter that I am more happy with
Right.
than the way this one cuts.
Yeah.
And
We finally got them.
we finally got them with our logo.
Yep.
So this
Like
is
this one that you can't see because
Yeah.
it's too far away.
this one passed the R&D to become a Warfighter tobacco product.
No, it took 3 color changes.
Yeah. Because we put them in our pockets with our change and our keys.
We run these lighters and cutters. What would be the equivalent of an average smoker's lifetime use? By the time we get done testing whether it's a lighter or cutter that we're using, if it survives long enough,
Yeah.
it's probably cut thousands,
Yeah.
probably upwards of 5,000 cigars, or lit.
Yeah. Now, the one exception to that is our field cutter, because that one it's a decent cutter, but the price point was we wanted it to be the least expensive,
Yeah.
halfway decent one we could sell.
Yep.
So it's $10. It's not a great cutter,
No.
but it's the cheapest one you're going to find.
Yep.
This
Or one of the cheaper ones.
Yeah. This one is a great cutter.
I think these retail about $60.
Yeah. And I would not hesitate ever to spend $60 on this one again.
But they also have a lifetime warranty through Cigar. So if the blade gets dull, anything comes loose or breaks or does whatever, fill out their warranty info. And
they
send it to 'em,
they
you can
must do something to the blades though, because I have cut, like you said, thousands of cigars.
And they're not even like I had one that fell apart because like I dropped it out of my truck.
Yeah.
I think I ran it over with my truck once because it fell off my tailgate and I backed up over it. All kinds of stuff. And it broke. It wasn't like the blades got dull or whatever. Like one of the parts where you put your fingers in just completely came off. So I got replacement parts for it. And it still cuts just fine. It's super sharp still.
Yeah. Like I bet this one cuts almost as good as that brand new one.
Probably.
Like they last forever. So these are probably available on the website like yesterday.
Yeah.
And so if you want a good cutter that I stand behind.
Yeah.
I think
this is my favorite all-time cutter.
Yeah, mine too.
Yep.
And it's definitely big enough to do a 60. My guess is you could probably cut a 70 gauge with this one.
That is the limit according to Cigar,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
they can go up to 70 gauge.
Yeah.
Because if you do bigger than a 70 gauge, they make an 80 ring gauge cutter that's the same style,
But plastic.
but they don't go any bigger than that.
Yeah. But yeah, so check this one out. It's on our website. It's the M8, the Cigar.
It only comes in chrome. And like I said, we did color changes. We started with the black one, and my black one ended up gray. All the black wore off.
in like a month.
Well, it started in a month,
Yeah.
but by like the 4 or 5 month mark, there was no black left
Yeah.
on it. And that's the one that actually broke that I still fixed, and the blades are still sharp on it.
Yeah.
And then we tried the gunmetal one, and that one,
Which is like a black chrome.
and that one ended up turning
Chrome.
pretty much chrome.
Yeah.
And then we did the chrome one, which, over time you'll end up seeing some scratches and stuff on it, but it still looks.
This one's very scratched up.
And that's a
beat up.
brand new one.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can tell the difference on
The biggest difference in these, and it's hard to see, is one of them's really shiny, and one of them's kind of shiny.
But I bet if I threw it on a polisher, it'd get right back to it.
Oh yeah, it's just surface scratches that are in it. But yeah, well loved,
Yeah.
but they work.
But I have a feeling if anybody buys these, they're going to really enjoy it because it's a good cutter.
Yeah. Like I said, you'll get,
Yeah.
thousands of cigars cut out of it.
Yeah.
And if you're an average smoker, smokes, whatever, 3 cigars a week, it's 150 cigars a year,
Yeah. You're going to lose it before you work
Well, that's
out.
to get to the, I mean, that's 10 years and you get to 1,500 cigars. It's 20 years, you're at 3,000 cigars. If you still have that after 20 years, you didn't lose it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it's still sharp, though.
Yeah. So we're excited about that one.
But we were going to talk about your,
Working on the boy's car.
yeah.
So I have a 19-year-old boy who, I don't know, about a year ago now, we got him a 2019 Ford Fusion with like 105,000 miles on it. So he's having some transmission problems, and then he hit a deer.
Not related.
Not really. But but to fix the transmission, you had to take the whole front end off, the air conditioner condenser, the radiator, like everything, all the way. Like it looked like we took the whole damn car apart.
Yeah.
Right. So we take it all apart. And we put in a solenoid body in the transmission.
Yeah.
Get it all back together. Right. He had a 5-day weekend, so a solid 3 days of that was working on this car.
Yeah.
Well, we get it back together. The transmission, it doesn't do anything. It shifts to neutral, but drive and reverse, no movement, right? So I'm like, well, shit. So I go to the Ford dealership and I'm like, hey, this is what we did. You know, he's a 19-year-old, like, can't really afford to just drop it off to you guys. And he's, you know, kind of trying to learn the mechanical stuff. And he's good at it, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, well, you have to reprogram the part so that it knows how to work.
Okay.
So you have to hook it up to the computer and whatnot, right? So my boy's already got this ForceScan thing that he reprograms shit anyway, right? So he's like, Dad, we watched a video. He's like, Dad, I think I can do it. Okay, great. We can't find the number that he needs to program to
the part number.
Not the part number,
part serial number.
The part serial number or a synchronization number.
Okay.
Right. So the part we got, you know, he was being economical, got it off Amazon, you know, whatever. It didn't. I don't think it came with the number.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much useless.
Yeah.
So now we have to take the car all the way back apart. Probably get another new part that has this number.
Yeah.
And put it all back together. You know, and it's like all the fluids. So we had to drain. Luckily, I didn't recharge the AC yet.
Ooh, that would have sucked.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's the coolant and all the transmission fluid.
Yeah.
Which is all brand new right now.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is drain it into something clean.
Yes.
And then you can reuse it.
Yes. Yeah. Because it was like $150 just in fluid.
Right.
So now we gotta redo this whole thing. Which we've worked on cars, right?
Yeah.
And like when I was working on a car, it was a '79 Trans Am. It was.
If it didn't work, I needed a bigger hammer.
Yeah. Like I went through like 4 turbo 350 transmissions,
right?
Because my Trans Am had way more power than the junkyard rebuild transmission could handle. But I got fairly good at changing the transmission.
Yeah.
Like it almost became
at the time it was more cost effective for you to change the transmission than it was to upgrade it.
Yes.
To make it bulletproof.
Because I could buy at the time a junkyard turbo 350 for about $150.
Yeah. Or to bulletproof that thing is probably $1,000.
Yeah. It was like $2,000 to $3,000 to do what I wanted to do.
Oh, okay. That's
I'll preface this with I had a trans brake, I had a stall converter. I had launch control.
You had a 383 stroker.
I had a 383 stroker, which I don't even know how much horsepower it had. It had a shit ton.
More than that turbo 350 could handle.
More than that turbo 350 could handle for about 3 launches. So, but I'm just used to putting in a new one, and it just I didn't have a computer. I had an MSD ignition. Yep. This is the biggest computer I had.
Yeah. So if something went wrong, you had to turn it a little bit.
Yeah, well, that was the distributor. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I didn't have to do that anymore once I got the MSD ignition.
Okay.
It was a computer, and for my stall, it had little chip modules that I could pull out and put in.
Yeah,
and I had a little button on my shifter, and I could just floor it, and it would hit the rev limiter, the 1-stage rev limiter.
Yeah,
and then when I let go of the button,
everything went in full effect.
Everything went in full effect.
Yeah.
And it matched, it was like 100 RPMs less than my stall converter.
Okay.
So I could just hold the button down at the drag strip. You'd take it to the drag strip on the weekends, right? I hold the button down, and all I'd have to do is let go of the button. And so, because as a drag racer, I was terrible. I had a fast car, but my reaction times were terrible. So I was not consistent. Right. And so, yeah, but I would do that and then blow a transmission. And I said transmission.
I know, that's right.
But I was proud of my boy, though. He came home one day and he said, Dad, I blew my tranny. And I knew what he meant. For that, I'm happy.
I don't know. I don't know which way I want to go with that. I hope you guys mutually agreed that it was a transmission in his old Ford Crown Vic.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone through 2 transmissions, 2 Deere, 2 different cars. So, But now he gets to take it all back apart.
I hope that's not a true thing.
What's that?
Because so I hit a deer a little while ago. My transmission's still good for right now. So
in his defense, I can't remember which came first on the Crown Vic, but
it was the deer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have just done the insurance claim, except I have a 19-year-old. And it was cheaper just for me to buy the parts and for him to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy how expensive some of these new vehicles parts are.
You know, it wasn't terrible though.
Yeah, but that one headlight.
The one headlight was the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought a new grill for $80.
Yep.
I bought a couple support things like the radiator support and the other thing, and they were a couple $100 a piece.
Yeah.
Condenser was $85,
yeah.
right? But the fucking headlight, like the Ford wanted $1,500.
Jesus.
We found a place that remanufactured them, and it was $600.
Wow.
For a headlight, because it's LED, it's got the automatic high beams.
Right.
Like
it's all that AI bullshit.
So we were to the point though where he almost sold his other headlight and bought 2 non-LED headlights
And still probably pocketed
and
20.
and still would have pocketed because you couldn't find a used one on eBay for under $400 or $500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he's going to be happy that he's almost done putting it together and he's got to undo it all again.
Yeah.
So.
And this relates to cigar smoking because there were moments where Scott and I would stand out there smoking cigars, watching him work on it.
Well, I'm smoking a Victory right now because it's the only one I've had for the last couple weeks. So not cigar, but Victory. It's the only Victory I've had.
I was disappointed when you guys were taking it apart. I was out there hanging out with you guys for a little bit when you were doing it. It almost happened, but I didn't hear it. And I was just waiting for
Oh, it happened.
Hold the fucking flashlight.
So it's funny because I get a little worked up. But I sent my boy, I'm gonna hold my phone up to the thing and play this, but I sent my boy this the other day. I had to find where I sent it to him. Maybe but I saw something on Facebook and but it was this guy talking to his wife that they were about to install a part.
Like on a vehicle in his house?
Well, they were doing it on a skid loader.
Okay.
But anyway, he said he was talking. He's like, so we got to install this part. He's like, things are going to be said. We just have to ignore them. He's like, this is going to be highly emotional. We just got to let it go. Once this is put back together, we have to forget everything that was said. But I sent it to him the morning that we were going to tackle his car. And I'm like,
just a preface.
Yeah, like I kind of mean what he's saying. You know, like things are going to be said. And things were said.
Yeah.
You know, because we John and I are like, hey, as you take this apart, you should label all the nuts and bolts and where they go.
Yep.
He gets to go put it back together.
How'd that go? I wasn't here when he went back together.
Lots of extra stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was a learning experience. So I damn near thought it would be impossible for us to pull it off. And it wasn't.
Well, it's not done yet.
It's not done yet. You're right. But I swear to God, if we take it apart, put it back together, and then I have to take it to Ford and pay them to do it, I'm going to be so mad.
Well, you already know how to do it. You already did it once.
But if this doesn't work, I don't know how to do it right.
That's true. Yeah. It's I saw this when I was wrenching on Harleys because this was back like I don't know 2000. Well, quote unquote professionally, it was 2010 to 2000. I don't know 12, 13 ish.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just shade tree mechanic is what I knew.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew a lot. And I had a good idea.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand like theory of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I knew I had to do things a certain way because that's just how they're done. But I didn't understand the theory of why I had to do it that way. And so by learning that, it kind of opened my mind to working on things, because it showed me like, I remember I was telling Logan when he started, and I'm like, look, if you're taking it apart and it's difficult, you're doing it wrong. It's designed to come apart easy if you do it the right way.
With the exception of those little plastic clips.
Well, those are designed to break and you just replace them.
Yeah.
They're not designed to be reused.
But breaking them wasn't the easiest on some of the things.
Right. But they do make these specialty tools to take apart those clips.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper to just buy clips for the rest of your life than it is to buy those specialty tools.
Right.
But one of the things that I learned about wrenching on stuff, kind of like, on the professional side of things, is the process to get to whatever you're trying to get to. It's not as simple as like, oh, I just need to take this off. And then, I just play with that.
Yeah.
Like, there's 56 steps you have to do in order to get to that one part.
Well, so remember that before he hit the deer, when he just had the transmission problem.
Yeah.
And he was saying, hey, I'm going to try to do this from underneath the car.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I'm like,
There's no way.
It's impossible, buddy.
There's no way.
But now he can look at it and he can be like, okay, I get it now.
Right.
Like there would have been no way.
And I've tried in the past before I actually learned and knew how to do things the right way. It was just like, oh, well, you know what? I can make it work, or I can figure out how to, I don't want to have to take off all this other stuff. So let me figure out how I can get that one bolt out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, in that amount of time that I had to spend to figure out how to take that one bolt out, do the actual job, and then put it all back in, I could have taken everything off and got the job done way faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that and learning about the electronics in new vehicles. So like I said, even though this was like 2010 to 2012, they were just then starting to implement processes in new products and new vehicles, motorcycles and cars.
Yeah.
That restricted the average person from being able to work on their vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's things like you guys are running into right now, where you have to program that part to work with the vehicle, work with the ECUs and all the computer systems that are in there. Harley was starting to do things like that. Like they included their anti-lock brake system. So in order to just bleed your brakes, say you wanted to change your pads out, change your fluid in your brake system, something that is a super simple, 20, 30-minute job. In order to do it correctly, when Harley put the anti-lock brake system in it, you had to bring it into Harley and hook it up to their computers to electronically bleed the ABS system. Because it had to trigger all the solenoids and valves in there in order to push all the air out. And if you didn't do that and you got an air bubble stuck in it, your ABS system would fail. But it wasn't Harley's fault, because Harley puts clearly in all their manuals, everything that, that's a requirement. Yeah. And so they were getting to the point where, like, if you had a shop and you were in a Harley Davidson dealership, you don't have access to the Harley Davidson software.
Right.
And same with vehicles.
Yeah.
Ford doesn't just give their software, their dealership mechanic software to, Joe's auto shop down the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, but so hopefully we can get it to work, but yeah, it's weird, right? Like you'd think you'd be able to throw
like this part's broke, I need a new part.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But it was good though. Like I think he learned a little bit, and he's pretty good at the mechanical stuff, so I'm happy about that. But yeah.
The more you do it, the more you learn.
Yeah. Well, look how many times when we were his age and we would try to do something.
Oh, I did so much stupid shit.
Yeah.
And none of it worked.
And we did stupid shit, but we had access to like welders and like I did crazy shit that was totally dumb, like you can't buy performance parts for a Ford Focus.
No. But
I had a Trans Am that had a 350
and you can get anything for a 350.
Yeah. So like I'm bolting on shit that I had, like, when you change out heads, you have to do other stuff. But at the time I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You put on a new set of heads on. Well, that led to, I might need new cams. That led to, I might need a different carburetor, which led to, I need to upgrade my ignition system.
Yep.
Which, so it was like a never ending. And then you'd always find that weakest part, whether it be the turbo 350 transmission, or the drive shaft or the rear end or something, right?
Yeah.
You,
And every time you upgrade something, something else breaks.
yes, you find
Yep.
the next weakest part.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was never ending, but
I remember I used to have this old 99 Dodge Ram, and I had to replace the water pump in it 4 times. And then my radiator got clogged. And I had to replace my radiator. And I'm trying to figure out why this is happening. I'm going through like lemon law shit.
Yeah.
And like, there's no reason. And I think I only had like 140,000 miles on it. There's no reason you have to replace 4 water pumps.
yeah.
Well, there is when your head gasket's blown. I just didn't know. You know what I mean? I'm fixing. I'm not finding the source of the problem. I'm fixing all of the. I'm like big pharma right
Well,
now.
luckily the oil was going into your water system and not vice versa.
It was vice versa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the water was going into my cylinders, and it would almost hydrolock, but it would be just enough where I could get it started. And there were some rough starts some days.
Yeah.
If I let it sit. And then it would blow out all the crap and it would run, whatever. And yeah. And so after actually I replaced the radiator and then I drove it cross country and it made it. It's totally fine. And then I drove it around for a little while and then I pretty much rode motorcycles. That was it for like 2 years. And then I was getting ready to get rid of it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I know there's something wrong with it. Like, let me figure this out now. Let me fix it, and then I'll get rid of it. And so through all the research and talking to everybody that I could and whatever, I realized that I had blown head gaskets. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, so I got a block up gasket kit.
Yeah.
So started with the heads and everything all the way up. Changed all the gaskets, all the seals, and everything. So essentially, I had to strip that engine all the way down to the block, pull the heads, and go from there. So I pull the heads, and I realized the gaskets there was barely nothing left. And so in my great mind, because I have no idea how to properly do anything that I need to do, I was like, well, I need to get these gaskets off of the block and off of my heads.
Yeah.
And there's also a shitload of carbon buildup on the heads and whatever gunk and crap that, from years of having blown head gaskets that I didn't know. So I did the only thing in my mind that made sense was I took a wire wheel on a drill and I cleaned all the shit up off the heads. I never spec'd them out, never made to see if they were like true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if they were warped or not. Nope. Didn't, and so fucking wire wheeled the shit out of these things, got all the crap off of them and everything, and then threw it all back together. And it ran great.
Yeah.
When I compared it to running with blown head gaskets.
Right. And then you traded it in. Yeah.
I traded it. So this guy wanted a hunting truck, and I was brutally honest with hey man, look, this is everything that I just did.
Yeah.
I put a whole bunch of new parts on it. Like it wasn't like it was crap.
Yeah.
I just didn't put the thousands of dollars into doing it the right way.
Right.
Like I replaced the gaskets, but I didn't true the heads up. I didn't, I cleaned them. I was like, blah blah blah. Explained how the whole process. Like
Vacuumed out the pistons when you were.
I did the shop vac. I ran it. I changed the oil 3 times. Within the first 100 miles. Like and so the guy actually had it for years and it still ran. He'd bring it from Phoenix all the way up north hunting, beat the ever living dog shit out of the city. He's like, man, this truck runs great. And I'm like, sweet. But he traded me a Suzuki TL1000R. And that bike, I rode the piss out of that bike.
Yeah.
Ended up selling it in Europe. But yeah, in my opinion, I thought I made out. And in the guy's opinion, he thought he made out. And we were honest about everything. He told me all the stuff that was wrong with the bike. I told him all the stuff that was wrong with the truck. And he was a cool dude. But yeah, that was not how to do that.
Yeah. I kind of want to start a project car, and if I ever get moved and have a shop, I kind of want to start something.
You should take the old Crown Vic and make it to a demo derby.
Well, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But I want like I don't know if I should be afraid to do like just a complete frame off on something and fucking like an 85 Chevy pickup or something,
The downfall of some of those older vehicles is if you don't know what you're looking for at first with like rust,
it's going to be body stuff
and frame stuff.
Yeah.
Then once you start going through it, it starts becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger project. And then you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy in Arizona at the last event that I was out there with, and he restores vehicles and wrenches on vehicles for a living. And they were talking about this old, I can't remember what kind of car it was. It was old, I think like 50s. And a customer bought it at one of the big auctions.
Yeah.
And he bought it for like 150 grand.
Ooh.
And he's like, hey, I want you guys to do a once over on everything, go through the whole thing, blah, 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 all this stuff. And they went through, and I mean, there were inches of Bondo on parts and chicken wire and all kinds of crap. And so they consulted with the customer, explained everything that was going on. The customer's like, just make it right. So they pretty much had to strip everything. And when they did that, they realized that they had to build supports on the inside of the vehicle in order to put all the floor back, all the support structure back in it, because once they pulled it out of the dip, the whole thing started to bend because it wouldn't even support itself. It was so rusted out. Yeah. This guy spent 150 grand on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was into it by about, I don't know, $250,000, $300,000.
Yeah.
By the time it's said and done.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, so that's my only fear about some of these older vehicles. It's like, it looks good, but what's underneath?
It helps. It helps if you start out not buying it at 150 grand.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep. But like, I don't want to walk around it with a magnet, but you almost have to.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they made like a portable x-ray machine. You x-ray the whole vehicle.
Right.
Like, actually, no, I don't want this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shit. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah. Here, you're almost out. I'll give you something to cheers.
That'll work.
I'm out of a cigar. But thank you guys for listening to our bullshit today. Hopefully you guys have some cool cigar accessories that you use that we didn't talk about. If you did, let us know. And other than that, see you guys next week.
Yeah.